Hello again. Welcome to the Sticka mitt hjärta, Knit my heart podcast. My name is Maivor and I come to you from Vasa in Western Finland. You can find me on Instagram as Sticka mitt hjärta and on Ravelry as Maitessa. And this is my digital space about knitting and all things yarny. This episode has been a long time coming. It's been a couple of months since my last one. And I even started this one for filming it a few weeks ago and just didn't have the brain space and the stamina to actually finish it and edit it and upload it. So I'm making a new start this week. And that means I have a lot to show you. I have lots of new projects that I haven't shown you before on the podcast. And it's also easier to film now that we have a bit more light. We've had a really dark end of last year. December and January were really dark months and just so very little natural light. So filming was hard for that reason as well. But now the light is coming back and we have lots of snow. We are having a real winter here in Finland. So yeah, welcome in joining me for a bit of knit chat and some tea. Since last time I've finished, well, let's just jump into what I finished. I think these are some of the things that I even finished last year before the turn of the year. Some of these I had started, or at least these socks. Let's start with these socks. Let's see now. This is how it goes. These are the Unity socks. I think I had started them the last time. Finished them sometime last year. I'm a little unprepared because I just said, well, I'm just gonna shoot, so now I don't have the name of the designer, but I'm just gonna look it up on my computer right here. Let's see if I can find it. Anyway, these were knit in Kera yarn. Kera, which is a yarn shop and an indie dyer from Finland. I've knit several socks and used her yarn in several projects, and I think that it's a lovely yarn. It's a merino sock yarn, merino nylon blend, and it's really lovely to knit with. Has beautiful stitch definition, and Melinda Meeser is the name of the designer of these Unity socks, and this is a free pattern, if I'm not mistaken. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. And it's you can knit them. I think it's more of a recipe that you can knit them both toe up and cuff down. So and just has this very decorative and very easy to follow cable pattern, which goes asymmetrically down one side of the foot. Yeah. So those were finished last year, and I actually I'm pretty diligent about putting everything into Ravelry. I do that as my kind of knitting diary, and also pretty much the show notes are found for this podcast. I use just my Ravelry notes, and Ravelry says that last year I finished 40 projects, and half of those projects were socks, so 20 pairs of socks. I finished last year. So I have plenty of socks in my box of socks for this year, and I've decided that I can pick a new pair every month from my box of socks. Of course, I have more than one pair, but I've kind of taken it as my aim to pick a new pair every month, and then of course I'll wash them in between. But it's kind of fun to look forward to. Oh, what pair am I gonna pick next month? And they keep coming, the socks, as you'll see. I have more socks on the go, so I will have to start gifting some of them, because soon I just won't be able to wear all of the socks that I've made. But anyway, another pair these were actually my Advent cast on. I started, let's see now, this is where it goes. I cast these on for Advent, and I knit these during December, and I think I actually finished them right in time for New Year's. And these are the Esther socks. Esther socks by Helena Joroinen, or Joronen. Let's check that too. A Finnish designer. And these are also a free pattern, and these were part of the Helena Joronen. Need to get that right. And these were part of the Kia's Board Free Socks 2020 challenge. So, and these were the December socks. So a lovely color work pattern, where I just used all of my scraps from my stash, and just put the colors one after another without thinking too much about it, and I think that they turned out really, really lovely. The base, the light cream colored base here is Drop Snowed, which is a wool alpaca blend, a sock yarn, but with both wool and alpaca, which is very nice and soft, and the toe, heel, and cuff are also a Kera yarn that I've also used for some other projects as well. So, yep, those were my final socks of 2020. And actually, what am I wearing today? Speaking of Kera, because I just realized that I have used that same Kera yarn in this shawl that I'm wearing. I'm wearing the Tan sweater, which I think I wore the last time as well, but it's such a good basic sweater. But then I'm also wearing my evenly uneven, I think that's how it goes, Jämnt ojämnt shawl by Jenny Penny, which I knit also last year. And I have shown it before, and there are pictures in my Ravelry page of it blocking, and sort of so you can see the full length of it. I wasn't quite sure how to wear it because it has these really long, narrow ends. But then today I decided I'm just gonna let them hang, because they are pretty in themselves. They have all the colors going down right to the end of the very narrow sort of end of the shawl. So a really, really fun pattern to knit, and lots of interesting techniques and details in this pattern. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing. What else have I been making? Well, one thing, I think I talked about this the last time, is it's this circular shawl. I'm just gonna try and step back a bit and see if I can This is the Mystic Star. The Mystic Star shawl. And as you can see, it has this star pattern going out from the middle. And I knit this for comfort. These are the kinds of things that they're fairly unpractical to wear. You don't know really what you're going to do with them, except I'm actually going to use this on a tabletop. So I do have a purpose for it. But I knit these only for enjoyment because I love knitting lace and I love knitting in the round because there are no purl rows. And it's I just love seeing the pattern grow from that very little, those few stitches in the middle to seeing just all the pattern unfold is lovely, I think. So this is a let's see, it's a lace ball 100 by Choppel. That's the yarn. And it's a single ply, it's a singles yarn, a lace weight yarn, and this is the colorway Herbstmeister. Well, that was difficult to say. Herbstmeister. And a 100% virgin wool yarn. And it has these. It's dyed in a way so that the colors fade into one another. And I'm gonna put this on our dining room table because we have a glass top, and I can put it underneath the glass top so that it's protected, but it will still be pretty and decorative underneath. So that, and there are some pictures on Ravelry and Instagram if you wanna look, have a closer look at this one. But a lovely project, one of those really enjoyable projects that you just do, that just make you feel good. So things that I have started since last time and that I'm working on right now. Let's start with my love note. This I think is a familiar pattern to many people. Lots of projects. Oh, there's. That's the lace yoke. It's a bit scrunched up, but I think it will open up nicely. One block king. I have finished the body. I have bound off the hem, and I have my needles are on the collar, the neckline right now, and I'm about to bind off the neckline. But I had a bit of a problem, or didn't quite know how to get the bind off stretchy enough in the neckline, because you decrease the number of stitches quite dramatically before making the neckline. That means that there are so few stitches here that it's actually a bit hard to get the neckline or stretchy enough when binding it off. So I'm thinking about maybe redoing that and just having a few more stitches, which would make the neckline a bit more stretchy and easier to work. But other than that, this fits really well. It's not very boxy on me, like really oversized, but I didn't want that either. But it's cropped, it's short, ends right at the waist, and I only have the sleeves to go now. And the yarn that I'm using here, I did show this I think the last time as well. It's my recycled yarn that I've reappropriated from an old sweater, an old store-bought sweater. So it's 100% wool, just a basic wool yarn, slightly heathered, so it's not completely solid. And I'm combining that with Kid Silk Haze by Rowan, a lace mohair yarn. So, and the colors, it's a much deeper color than actually is shown on the screen, on my screen at least, because it kind of washes it out a bit. But I think it has beautiful depth, and the combination of these two yarns just make it really, really lively and a very pleasant color, I would say. It's not too purple in your eyes, but it's very flattering on me, I think, actually. So a very enjoyable project, a very nice pattern, and I'm actually knitting. It says to knit. It recommends you knitting it on needles with needle size 6, but I'm only using 4.5. Not sure actually why. Maybe because I don't actually have a nice pair of needles that are size 6, that are 6 millimeters. And also because I don't really like working with big needles. So, and maybe because I got the gauge that I wanted with 4.5. Yeah. So it will not. I've looked at some projects photos of other love notes, and they are, I think, a little more loose. The fabric itself has a bit more drape than this one will have, but I think that's okay. It will be very warm, but well, oh well. I will report back to you next time when I've finished all my the sleeves, and worn it and seen what it actually looks like and what it feels like on. So that's for me, a sweater for me, and then I'm also working on a sweater for my husband. Now this doesn't really look like much, does it? It's vintergröna. The pattern is called vintergröna, and it has these saddle shoulders. Let's see if I can zoom in on the construction a little bit. You can see the saddle here, and then the sleeve increases here. Which I think is a nice feature. I think that looks very good on male patterns. And the back, you actually start at the back. You start right here in the middle, and then you work your way out, making the sort of yoke first, and then picking up stitches going down and then around. So yeah, this doesn't really look very exciting, but I think it will be very nice. Let me just check the designer. I keep forgetting. The pattern is, I bought it from Järbo. It's Järbo, the Swedish yarn company, and from their recent collection. And the designer is called Stina Hølgaard Johansen, so she's a Norwegian, I think, designer, or Danish, well, either or. And the yarn that I'm using is Isager Merlin. Oh, well, let's see. It doesn't really show. So it's an 80% wool and 20% linen blend. And that gives it this really, really sort of tweedy look almost. And it's really nice to work with. It's a fingering weight yarn, which means that there are a lot of stitches, so it's a bit slow going. But right now that I'm working on the body, I mean, it's just in the round and round, going round and round. So in the end, when it's finished, when the neckline is finished and it has all the details finished, I think it will be a really good looking, stylish men's sweater. He doesn't want a lot of embellishment on his clothes, so I think this will be actually very nice, and it's very nice against the skin because he also doesn't want anything that's too itchy. So yeah, I mean, it's not the most exciting thing to knit, but it's perfectly fine for, just your TV knitting, and the yarn is also nice on the hands, so that helps. It's a nice yarn to work with. So that's the Vintergröna sweater. I haven't knit a men's sweater in a long time. They are surprisingly large compared to knitting for myself or for kids or knitting for a man is different, especially with a fingering weight yarn. At some point I thought, oh, what have I gotten myself into? But it's working okay. The yarn, this is how the yarn ball, what the yarn ball looks like. So nice high quality yarn. That's what it feels like anyway. I bought this yarn when we went to Turku in November last year, and to the local yarn shop Ilo. There they have a nice selection of Isager yarns, and they have lots of other nice yarns as well. But my husband was with me, so he chose this color for himself. Yeah. So those are, I think, the garments that are going on at the moment. Well, let's take these in between. This was something fun that I just came up with one night, thinking I needed something simple and quick to make. These are seating covers or seating cushions, or seating warmers. When the idea is these are now knit in a non-superwash yarn, and I'm gonna felt these just a little bit, or fold them, just rub them in some soapy water and so that they thicken and shrink a little bit. And then the idea is that you can bring these along when you go for a hike, you go for a walk, maybe in the forest, or go for a picnic, and then and when you want to sit down, maybe on a cold rock or a cold or damp wooden bench, you can just pull this out of your pockets, and you will have something warm and dry to sit on. Because especially in these times when we're not allowed to do a lot of indoor events or activities. Sorry, just gonna sip some tea. People are out hiking, people are out walking, people are out picnicking all the time, and sometimes you just don't remember to bring something to sit on, especially in winter. My solution will be to actually take my mittens off. I often wear double mittens, and the outer layer is often a thick pair of woolly mittens. So I will take my mittens off and I will sit on the one pair, because I haven't got anything else to sit on. So I thought that this would be the solution for that. So I've finished these, and I'm gonna knit some more. I think I'm gonna try and knit maybe four, so that we all of my family has one each, and then I'm gonna fold them. And these are made out of Cascade 220. Is this light green color, and this multicolored yarn is, it looks like this. It's a rustic yarn, hand dyed, deep stash. I've had it for a long time, and I think the yarn was called Frö when I bought it, and I think it's the same dyer who now dyes the Aurinkokehra yarn range. So that is now her brand. But before she was Aurinkokehra, she had some yarns that were called Frö. So that, and I know that this also felts well. So yeah. Okay. Now my computer says I need to charge the battery for the computer, so just a sec. Okay, I got that sorted. Then of course there's socks. There's always socks. And my first socks of the year that I have finished, but I haven't actually woven in the ends yet. So, but they are blocking as we speak. They are still a bit damp. But they are a colorwork sock. The Wild Angelica socks. And this, so that the pattern shows best when it's like straight up like that, and then it has a really pretty heel. And that's what it looks like. I think these are just so pretty. I've looked, when this pattern came, it's by, the designer is called Running Yarn on Instagram. I think her name is Marianne, I think. I'm not sure what her surname is. But you can find her as Running Yarn on both Instagram and Ravelry. This is a paid for pattern. She has other colorwork patterns as well. And when I saw this, I just thought this was just one of the loveliest patterns I had ever seen. I love this floral theme. And she's a runner, and I think, and she runs in nature a lot. And I think that she actually just saw a flower when she was out running or hiking, and felt that she wanted to make a pattern out of that flower. So this is an Angelica flower. That's whose the Latin name. Its Latin name is Angelica. And this was the perfect sock pattern, really. It's very well written, all the details on how to do all the sort of things like this join here between the heel and the instep. All of that, everything is just written very explicitly and explained, and it's very easy to follow. Of course, it's an overall over chart, so it's not a quick knit. You have to focus and concentrate. So, but very, if you like color work, it's very enjoyable. So I think this is a really lovely sock. I still need to work a bit on loosening my tension in color work, especially at this point here, because I feel that I need to struggle just a little bit to get these over my heel. So this point, I think, is the crucial point for color work socks. And I knit these using 2.25 millimeter needles, but I could have used 2.5, and I think that would have made the difference. So for my next pair, I need to think about that. And these are worked in a yarn that I ordered from the UK last year before Brexit. Socks Yeah by Coop Knits. It's a superwash merino, 75 superwash merino, 25 nylon yarn. And the colors are called Larimar and Lapis. Not sure now which one is which, but... And let's see, I think I had the yarn here somewhere. They are sold in 50 grams skeins, which is good if you want to work color work. So this is what's left. I had the other one somewhere, but it's rolled away. But this much I have left of both the colors of those 50 grams. So I haven't weighed these socks, but I'm guessing that they're around 35, 40. No. Around 60, 70 grams. That's what I'm saying. Both of them. 60, 70 grams together. So this is, and this is the yarn that's left. So two skeins of 50 grams are perfectly enough to make a pair of S size all over colorwork socks from this yarn. And this yarn is slightly heathered. It has several strands of color in it. It's not completely solid. I don't know if it shows that well in the socks themselves. Perhaps on the heel. You can see that it has some nuances of different colors there. But a very nice yarn to work with for this kind of project. It's a very fairly unstretchy, unflexible yarn. It's a bit ropey, so not the squishiest. But for color work, it works really well. So that was a nice new acquaintance. Yeah, so those are, I need to weave in the ends, and they need to dry, but other than that, they're finished. And I also started a new sock. I joined the Handmade Sock Society 4, which is this year's mystery sock club by Helen Stewart, Curious Handmade. I joined the season 3 last year. And I really liked all of those patterns. It's 6 patterns. They're released once a month, and they're always on a theme. And this year's theme is something about going into the country. And last year's was atmosphere. I can't remember the title of this year's, but it has to do with going out into nature and experience country life and that sort of thing. And so the first sock was released just a few days ago on Thursday. Sorry, my camera cut me off there because I ran out of storage space. So I'm just gonna jump back in with the socks. I finished the first socks, or the first sock of the first pair. This is the Curling Mist sock. This is the first sock of the Handmade Sock Society 4. It's a very simple pattern, but with a very sort of a quick and easy knit, but still with a very pleasing aesthetic, I think. So it has these very simple one-stitch cables going down the foot, and then the heel is ribbed, So yeah, very, keep placing it wrong in the camera. I shortened the cuff just a little bit because I don't like cuffs that are too long. But other than that, I just follow the pattern. It's a cuff down pattern. And because it has this very stretchy sort of ribbed type of pattern, it sits really well on the foot. And I knit this using Sannes Sisu sock yarn, which is a fingering or a slightly thicker fingering weight yarn. And I think this colorway is really, really, really nice. So yeah, the Sock Society is on, and the next pattern will be released in March, so I have to wait for a bit for that, but it's always fun when the new patterns show up. Yeah, I think that's about all I have to show you of my knitting. I have been thinking a little bit about what I want to knit this year. I haven't made any make nines or knitting bingos or anything like that. And generally, I don't like to have a plan or to plan, have a list of to-do things, because I like to be spontaneous, and I like to do what strikes my fancy at that very moment. But a discussion that has been going on recently that has been raised recently in Finnish media, in the national media, not in social media, also in social media, but also in our national news media, has been the question of wool and of Finnish wool, and the origin of the wool that we use in our knitting. And I think this is an important question. For me, the sustainability issue is relevant, I think, in everything I do, and it's also a very difficult question, and it's one that where most of us fall short, which is just a fact. But when it comes to knitting, I'm in a position, and I think most of us are in a position where I knit because I like to knit, not because I have to, not because I need to, but because I want to. And so I'm thinking that could I possibly knit more sustainably? Could I maybe take it as a challenge for this year to use, for instance, only Finnish wool that's locally. And locally, I mean local to my country, because we're such a small country. And in that way, use a resource that's produced and available close to where I live, and that would also promote the farming and production of the sustainable use of that wool, because now a lot of the wool that is produced in Finland is going to waste, and that's the case in many countries, I know. But there are people working to trying to better utilize the wool that is produced from the sheep in our country, and there are many small yarn producers, small spinneries, small dyers, who are producing excellent yarn and wool in our country. So I had this idea that maybe during 2021, from now on, starting from now, the new yarn that I buy, I would only buy Finnish yarn that's made and produced in Finland from Finnish wool. Well, it's not always actually produced in Finland because some of the production actually has to be made abroad for technical reasons. I've heard that we don't have the facilities for all the processes here, but the main point being still that the wool would be originating from Finland and sold by Finnish companies and producers. We have, of course, the excellent Tuku wool, which is a yarn that I have never used, but I think it would maybe be time to try it now. And there are many other small farmers and small producers who produce excellent wool in Finland. So I'm going to try. Let's put it this way. I'm going to try and buy yarn when I have to buy yarn for projects. I will try and buy only Finnish wool during this year. I can still use, of course, what I have in my stash because it would be stupid not to. And I do have many yarns that are dyed by indie dyers in Finland, but the yarn is not necessarily Finnish in origin. But I can still use that, of course. And I will not say that I can't supplement if I need to. If I have a yarn that's not enough for a certain project, I can supplement. But generally, if I buy new yarn for new projects, I want to buy Finnish yarn. So there, I said it. Let's see how it goes. And I did have a look through my stash. And I did not have a lot of Finnish yarn, I have to say. I found a couple of skeins that I'm just going to show you that I did buy last year at some point and they are from a small farm, Aholaidan Lammastila. And these are finger and weight yarn, and these are undyed. So these are the natural colors of the sheep. And these are actually a very soft and squishy yarn that I think would be beautiful as a shawl and even as a garment, but I don't have enough, of course. So if I wanted to make these into a garment, I would have to get some more. So I'm going to start thinking along these lines now. What could I do with these, and how could I incorporate Finnish yarns into my plans and into the things that I'm inspired by right now? And one of the sweaters that I'm thinking of and that I'm thinking that I really like is the Lunenburg sweater, which is a round yoke sweater that has a color work and texture incorporated into the yoke. And that would look really good in these natural colors. So that's one thing I need to think about. What could I possibly, how could I make that? Yeah, so that's some of the plans that I have for this year. But hey, I think that's about all for now. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you again a little sooner than it's been this time. And I hope that you have a lovely day, that you enjoy your knitting, that you enjoy winter if it's winter where you are. And I will talk to you again soon. Bye.